We are back at SEMA 2025. I'm joined here with Damien at the QA1 booth. Damien, good to see you.
Good to see you too. A lot of new products this year here. Right in front of us, we've got our 99 to 06 Silverado suspension. New coilover kit, updated coilover kit, new front sway bar.
Is that what this is? Right here?
Sir. Yes.
Okay, so this is basically the front clip of a Silverado?
Yeah, we cut the frame down so we can display it here. So showing off the tubular control arms, we've got the new 1.5" diameter hollow sway bar. We've got our updated coilover kit. This particular setup is set up with the drop spindles and a bump steer kit as well. So when you get these trucks down low, they tend to get a little bump steer. So we went ahead and took care of that with the bump steer kit. And then we've got the tubular lower control arms as well, all bolt on. We've converted this over to a coilover system, and we've actually updated this design. And these trucks they're really good daily drivers yet. You know, a lot of people are still using them for that. So we wanted to make sure we had that daily driver durability. So we've actually taken the updated coilover design and the bushing design that we used on our modern truck applications and incorporated that into this as well.
Okay.
We installed a 2.5" ID spring on there, so compact design. And if somebody does want to get in and play around with spring rates, there's tons of options as far as spring rates and really help you get that dialed into where it needs to be.
Does the rack interfere at all? Do you have to do any kind of notching?
These trucks actually came with a rack and pinion from the factory.
Okay.
So it's a great platform to start with. They're already LS swapped from the factory, and they came with a rack and pinion system.
Okay.
So we're just updating that. As far as the cross member, none of our suspension is going to interfere or change any of how that fits.
One question I do have, so this is a full kit, like it's all one part number and it comes in a box?
We do have this available as a full kit, so one part number will get you the full front rear suspension. Now, we do have the components available as well. So if you've already got something in the back and you're not looking to do that, you know, maybe you just want to update your upper control arms. That is absolutely an option, and those components are available to do that. They're, you know, the sway bar and the lower control arm, that is designed to work together because it does use a rod end style end link on it. But those components are available, so it is available to build in stages. The upper control arms are an improvement on the factory design.
Okay.
They bolt into the factory location, so you could still use those with a factory lower control arm, factory sway bar.
Okay.
But we did increase the caster on it. So help the truck track a little bit easier, track straighter. We wanted to add some caster to it. And then, you know, with the tubular design, it is going to be a stronger design, also a little bit lighter. So it features the QA1 rebuildable ball joints. And we've got the nice dust boots on there with the retaining ring. So really nice part, and again, it does bolt into the factory location. Okay,
and when you say that you added caster, I think what some people might interpret is that you changed something in the knuckle, but what you did is you've actually updated the placement of the ball joint, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So effectively, to increase the caster, we're going to move the upper ball joint towards the rear, and a lot of times, in order to keep the wheel centered in the wheel well, we'll also move the lower ball joint forward.
Okay.
So that wheel center, the wheel placement stays centered in the wheel opening.
So what'll happen if you only update the top?
With the adjustability in this, you won't get the full amount of caster gain that we recommend. So on something like this, we're going to be looking at about 6 degrees of caster.
Okay, that's still excessive.
From the factory, these trucks, they were set to about 1 degree of caster.
Wow, okay.
So there is a good gain that's going to help improve the steering feel on the truck.
Sweet.
So this is the front. Moving back to the rear, we've got a torque arm coilover suspension system here that will eliminate the leaf springs.
Okay.
So we're going to get rid of those. We're going to bolt the trailing arm mounts on the frame in the factory leaf spring hanger location. We've got our brackets mounted on the axle housing. So a lot of this design is stuff that's already been used on our earlier C10 system, square bodies, OBS trucks, and now we've just applied it to the NBS trucks.
Okay.
Torque arm suspension allows the rear suspension to articulate. A different type of application might use a different style of suspension for different reasons or packaging. So one of the reasons that we went with the torque arm style suspension on this is it does package well. You know, we can get this torque arm mounted low and keep it underneath the bed floor.
Right.
So if we were to go to a 3-link or something, for example, which would have similar type of geometry and, you know, it allows the rear suspension to articulate, a lot of times that link goes on top of the diff. Well, unfortunately, that would limit our ride height range, you know, probably reduce it by about 2 inches.
Right.
So by moving that torque arm off to the side, that allows our factory diff to be the lowest point of contact when we're lowering those trucks down. So the other reason it works well, it gets the instant center forward, and it really allows the rear suspension to separate and help plant the tire when you're launching and give you some good traction there.
Okay, one question that a lot of people have is, are these kits, are they supposed to be welded in or can they be bolted in?
No, this is 100% engineered as a bolt-in system.
Okay.
So welding's not required. We're including the full hardware kit, and engineering has gone as far as including nut plates where it's difficult to access the backside of the bolt or get the nut on it. So like inside the frame rail, there's some boxing on these trucks.
Yeah.
We've actually got these nut plates in here.
Oh, okay.
So you're not having to fight with the nut and tape it onto the wrench and get it in there and get it put together that way.
Right, so if somebody wanted to weld it, is that a good option, or do you not recommend it?
It's steel. They would have to remove the powder coating. They could, but it's not necessary. It was engineered as a bolt-in system.
Okay, that's fair. Something that I noticed here is, I used to have one of these trucks, and it depends on the make and model, but these humps right here, usually they have a bar that goes through the chassis,
yes,
starting from here, and it goes all the way forward, or all the way across. So that has to be removed?
Yes, so we do have to remove the cross member for torque arm clearance.
Right.
And we did incorporate a new gas tank mount into that new cross member. So we've actually raised it up and we mounted on top of the frame rails. Still goes underneath the bed. And then we've got the mount here for the fuel tank, and it uses the factory fuel tank straps yet. Coming to the front one, these front ones sit right between the front of the bed and the cab. And a lot of times what happens is you get dirt and debris, it sits on top of the gas tank,
right,
and it will cause that cross member to rust out. Right. So we're addressing a couple of issues with this one. One, we needed a cross member to mount our torque arm to and have something substantial to put that load into. So getting rid of that factory cross member allowed us to do that. But we're also removing that factory rust-prone cross member and replacing it with a new one. And this one also has the fuel tank mounts on it. And again, you're using the factory fuel tank straps there. Something else that we've incorporated into this particular one with the 99-06 trucks, the EVAP, or the charcoal canister, mounts above the drive shaft here. So for anybody that's, maybe in California where they have emissions testing, if you get rid of that charcoal canister, you're gonna have a check engine light on and you're not gonna pass an emissions test.
Right.
So we actually incorporated the brackets for that EVAP canister into our cross member, so a customer can cut the factory one off of the factory cross member and bolt it onto our cross member, or if theirs is rusted out, they can get a replacement one and bolt that on as well.
So you've basically eliminated a lot of the normal fabrication that someone would have to do when in trying to build a kit like this.
Yes.
And you made it so you don't have to weld it, for one.
Right.
And you've made it so that it's all bolted, and you fixed a couple of issues. Basically, the only thing you need are a couple of hand tools and a grinder, right?
We have designed this system so it can be installed in a garage with a basic set of hand tools over the weekend. Okay. So it doesn't require fabrication, it doesn't require a welder. So it is a pretty straightforward and simple install. Raise the bed up a little bit, get it blocked up, and then you can get to those cross members and get those installed, and then the frame notch as well. And put it back down, get the bed back on it, back on the wheels, and ready to go.
Sweet. So this kit's for the Silverado, but is it the only application that you have for this?
So the torque arm systems, we actually developed these for the F100s. So we've got them for 65 through 79 F100. We've got them for the square body trucks, and then the GM OBS trucks as well, the 88 to 98 trucks. Okay. So this is proven geometry that we've applied to a number of applications already, and we're just expanding our offering into the next generation of GM trucks.
Sweet.
So additional new products for us this year, we've updated our F-150 systems. So now we're covering 21 through 25 F-150, both two-wheel and four-wheel drive lowering kits. So we've got coilovers up front, drop spindles in the rear. We've got a flip kit, so help get everything lowered down. So if you're doing a Coyote with a blower on it, you want to get the truck down and looking good, we've got the setup to do that.
I do have a question on the shocks, actually, on the back of this kit.
Sure. So we're using our double adjustable shocks in this particular system here. We do also offer these with our single adjustable shock. The single adjustable shock is going to have one knob on it, and it will adjust compression and rebound simultaneously. With the double adjustable shock, we've got 2 knobs so we can adjust compression and rebound valving independently of each other. So really help get the truck dialed in, ride quality, or if you're drag racing with it and you want to get it dialed in or doing some autocross, you've got the versatility with the shock valving to be able to get it dialed in for what you're using it for there as well.
Right, and as far as I know, you guys have these not just for this kit, you sell these almost on an application basis, right? You can pretty much retrofit these on a lot of the older vehicles.
We have a number of custom mount shocks that we sell by length. So we're going to be looking at shock mount eyelet to eyelet length on those at ride height. And if you give our tech team a call with that mounted length of the shock, they can help you get them sized up. We've got travels between 3 and 9 inches. So a very wide range of travel, and we can fit a lot of applications.
Okay, very cool. I personally actually own a set on my 1971 Challenger, and so far it's been working pretty good depending on weather conditions and what I'm driving through, or if I'm going to the track. I actually play with those knobs quite a bit in order to dial in the suspension.
Yeah, and that's a great thing with these. If you're on a road trip going to the track, and maybe the road that you're on today isn't all that great, pull over on the side of the road in a parking lot, reach underneath the car, just turn the knob. 1 or 2 clicks will make a big difference on the fine tuning on a road trip like that. Get to the track, adjust the shocks, get it dialed in for drag racing, and then once you're done for the night, go back to your street setting, comfortable ride home.
Excellent. So what do you have specifically for these Mopar guys?
Mopar guys, we've got you covered right over here. For the Mopar guys, we've got a couple different options. We do still offer the tubular control arms for the torsion bar systems.
Right.
So if you want to keep the torsion bars on your car, improve the drivability and ride quality, we've got the tubular control arms, the strut rods, the adjustable shocks for that. If you want to go to the next level with it, convert it over to a rack and pinion coilover system, we've got you covered there as well.
Okay.
So we've got these for Mopar A, B, and E body cars. We've got interchangeable engine mounts on these. So we've got you set up if you're running an LA, B, RB, Gen 2, or Gen 3 Hemi.
Right.
With this one, we're doing the rack and pinion conversion. So really give you that modern driving feel and help update the steering on that. Get rid of some of that wandering that you have in the factory steering system. With that, we've also got a sway bar to go along with that, help cut down on the body roll, get it converted over to disc brakes along with that.
So this setup, because I know I'm very familiar with these Mopars, and normally everything's bolted on to their own K-member, but the K-member is set up for a different style of control arm. You guys had to pretty much reinvent the wheel with this setup, right? And you guys could put your own dimensions into this?
Correct. So it does bolt in where the factory K-member bolts in using these mounts here, but the upper and lower control arms are specific to this system. So those particular parts do not interchange with the factory K-member or the factory suspension system.
Is this a Bluetooth connection in between?
Yes. We've got a number of these. We cut them apart as corner displays so that we can put them on our SEMA display, but also take them out to other local car shows that we work. We've got a front display here. Another corner display with the Bluetooth steering. Excuse me.
Seems to have a lot of that around here.
Got our 65 to 70 Mustang suspension here. This is a brand new item for us. We've had a coilover kit for these cars available for a number of years, and now we're adding to that our upper control arms, lower control arms, and a front sway bar. So this system is a full bolt-in. It retains the towers, keeps the loaded upper control arm. It works with the existing spindles on the car. So
really?
We've got V8, non-V8, disc brake, drum brake. It doesn't matter. Our system's going to work with whatever spindles you have on the car.
Okay.
And a lot of people have already done the upgrades on those. The cars have been converted to disc brakes over the years. So that was definitely something that we wanted to make sure that we had that ability to use whatever spindles were there. With that, we've eliminated the strut rod on the lower control arm. So from the factory, these cars have a separate strut rod here.
Okay.
And we've incorporated that into an A-style arm. So add a little bit more rigidity, get everything tucked in a little bit tighter so we can get a little bit more tire clearance on it.
Right.
The front mount on this, we actually use an axial ball joint. So it's an OEM quality ball joint. We're eliminating the rubber bushings and
I see.
giving a a nice maintenance-free part. It is adjustable, so you can still adjust the caster with it. And then we've also added an 1.1 front sway bar to it to work with our lower control arm. So really nice design on that. And we're going to be adding some caster with this, help tighten up that steering feel and help the car track straighter going down the highway.
Kind of like what was done on the Silverado.
Exactly.
Okay, let me ask you this. Are you a Ford guy, Chevy guy?
I'm a car guy. So if it's cool, I want to see it, I want to play with it.
Okay.
Personal vehicles, I've got a couple C10s. So,
Chevy guy.
I'm kind of a truck guy.
Chevy truck guy confirmed. I'm just kidding. No, very cool. Is that why you're not as enthused about the Mustang kids? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's because it's Wednesday and I'm exhausted.
It is. Is it? It's not Wednesday, is it?
Oh, it's Thursday.
No, it's Thursday. Yeah, you are exhausted. So aside from this, what other Ford parts you guys got?
So we've actually got a brand new 4-link for the rear as well. 65 to 70 Mustangs. We've got a new 4-link system, so it's a weld-in system. Brackets mount up inside the frame rails and those self-fixture. And then we've got brackets that will weld onto the factory 8-inch and 9-inch housings.
Okay.
So it'll work with your existing housing in the car. And the Mustangs didn't come with a 9-inch until 67. And even when they did, then it only came in big blocks and GTs. So not all of those early Mustangs came with a 9-inch. Most of them were an 8. So if somebody wanted to upgrade their 8-inch to a 9-inch rear end, we do have one of those available to work with the QA1 4-link as well.
Okay, I do have a few questions. So this differs a little bit.
Yes.
In the stuff in the Silverado, because this has to be welded in, correct?
This is a weld-in 4-link system.
Okay,
yes.
Can you tell us why we weren't able to do this?
So, trying to get a bolt-in system in this car, there's some systems on the market where they have threaded inserts that go in the frame rails, and if you've ever installed those, you get to about the third one and they don't grip right. And then they start spinning, so you can't thread into them. So now you gotta try and wedge a screwdriver in there and hold it so you can drill it back out and put a new one in. Well, by the time you get through all of that, you could have just welded this in and avoided that frustration. So we're skipping that step and going straight to the weld in and trying to get you to the right answer sooner. I don't think it's a strength issue in the chassis. I think it's an ease of install.
Okay.
With this system, we are welding to some lighter gauge metal. So you don't have to have a 220 welder. It's something that you could do with a 110 welder. Put some stitch welds on the outside. We put holes in here so you can do rosette welds or plug welds, and then stitch around here. And we gave customers plenty of surface area to put the welds on there.
Okay.
So it's not a strength issue. It's more, this is just a simpler way to do the install and a little bit quicker. So the uppers, if you're using your factory housing, you would weld the brackets on. We've got some fixtures that fit over the rod ends and keep everything aligned. On the lowers, our brackets actually do mount to the leaf spring perches, and then they bolt on with the U-bolts. And then up front, we're gonna bolt the trailing arms in the factory location, in the leaf spring eye location.
Okay, so this would go where the factory leaf spring is.
Correct.
Goes.
Yep.
And then these would install with U-joints?
So if you're using the factory housing, we've got brackets that fit up against the leaf spring perch. And then they install with U-bolts, so you can mount the shock mount and the lower trailing arm mount. We offer the kits a couple different ways, with and without the housings, and they are different part numbers because they will come with different components. If you do buy the system with the QA1 9-inch, we eliminate those brackets, so you're not having to pay for parts that you're not going to be using.
Okay. One thing I will say is that if you don't have a 9-inch in the car, well then you can get the housing, right? But if you do have a 9-inch and you don't want to do the fabrication, or you want a 9-inch that probably has a little bit more beef than your stock one does.
It's going to come fully powder coated, welded with the brackets on it. It's going to come with the 31 spline axles with the 2.5-inch brake offset in the Torino ends and 3-inch wheel studs. So it's very easy to upgrade to disc brakes with that. That's what we intended for when we did that. And then you can put your 31 spline third member in there to really take the power. And with the 31 spline axle shafts, they're going to be good for about 650 horse. So.
All right, so this whole setup is actually really cool. Let me ask you something. What's the deal with that half of a car that you have over there?
So this is showcasing the brand new SpeedTech full chassis and floor pan. let me get you over to Cameron and he can tell you more about it.
This is Mr. Cameron. Cameron, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a year.
It has been a year.
It's good to see you again.
We met last year here, actually in this exact same spot.
Same spot.
So, but this time, instead of a half chassis or just a chassis, bare chassis, we have half of a car with the chassis inside. Can you tell me a little bit about this car?
What we've got here is a 67 Camaro. This is actually a survivor car. This is original paint. The customer, it's his wife's car, and she just wants to cruise it and everything, but she wanted something that was structurally sound, still had modern technologies, gonna LS swap it, all those things. And she said, when we're driving the car and I'm going over, you know, abutments and whatever I might be doing, I can feel the doors twisting, I can watch everything twist, and we said, we have a solution for that. So about a year ago, we came up with a full weld-in chassis. So with these unibody cars, they're always known to having a little bit of twist and flex and things like that because they don't have true frame rails with it. So what we did, I'll give you the car guy version of what we did. I won't give you the science. The problem is not enough structure in the flooring and in the frame system. The solution is cut it all out. And when I mean cut it all out, I mean we cut rocker to rocker, firewall to past the axle in the trunk, and just remove it all out. And then you weld in a full brand new system that features our front extreme. So you're gonna have our proven geometry with this. This is a system we came up with, 10 plus years ago. We're able to run a 315 wide tire in the front of this car with over 30 degrees of steering, dual power rack and pinion system. This one's running the QA1 mod shocks, 3-piece tunable sway bar. And we've designed this to run any, you know, LS, LT, small block, big block, whatever engine you want to run on this. And then it's running our, right here you're looking at our forged aluminum spindle with the C7 Corvette hub.
Interesting. So the C7 Corvette, that's a dropout hub, right?
Yeah.
Any particular reason why you picked that one?
Because it's sealed and it's dual bearing. And so it's something that if, you know, a lot of our cars are driven on the track and we build our stuff to actually drive. They're not just trailer queens.
Right.
And so people will drive 1,000 miles to a show or a race or what have you. One of the breaking points on these cars, unfortunately, after years of abuse, could be a stud or something on your hub. Well, you can go to any Chevy dealer and get this exact hub and just pop one out, pop the new one in, and you're back on the road.
In my opinion, it's always been better to use as many OE components as possible in case you have a problem down the road.
Yep.
And if you're ever planning to drive your cars, a lot of people don't plan to drive them. They plan to build them and then keep them in the garage, take them to car shows every once in a while. But usually the majority of the driving is driving it on the trailer and then driving it back off.
Exactly.
But for people like me, I like to see that OE compatibility because I do drive them. I drive my cars, and don't tell my insurance companies, but I drive my car thousands of miles per year, and components do break. They wear out and they break.
Things happen, right? And same thing, we design our stuff to be driven. We take our cars, I've been on Power Tour for the past few years in our cars. This year I actually went in a truck, a C10, with our Extreme Street chassis, which is a different chassis, but same general components. We finished it on Friday, put 20 test miles on it, and then drove 2,000 miles on Power Tour.
Right.
Flawless, right? But however, if something were to go wrong, we knew we could replace whatever we had to replace.
Exactly.
But, you know, speaking of replacing things, once you cut everything out, you got to replace the floor.
Of course.
So we came up with a whole new floor system for this. Half of it's in right now. When you're doing a rebuild with these resto mods or the Pro Touring style, a lot of times you're running a T56 or a modern transmission. Well, you notice that tunnel's nice and beefy. It'll fit whatever transmission basically you want to put in there. So anything from an old school rock crusher to modern 10-speed and anything in between. And then the camera just looked at our beautiful IRS. So last year we featured the independent rear suspension system for the Chevelle chassis. This is basically the same IRS, just implemented for the Camaro. So
let me ask you this, the sheet metal kits, do those come included with the chassis?
Yeah, so we have it all available for the chassis, the sheet metal, everything you need. So it has, you know, the whole sheet metal closeout system for the independent rear as well. Okay. And then we have the smooth firewall. So basically any part you cut out, we give you what you need to replace it.
All right, so let me ask you, if you order a chassis, does it already come like assembled, or do you get it in crates and you have to assemble it yourself?
Depends.
Okay.
That's up to you. We can assemble it if you want. We can send it to you in pieces if you want.
Okay. Do you recommend cutting up the car and then ordering it, or should you order it, try to assemble it, and then cut
I would
the car?
order it first just because of wait times, right? You know, we're usually booked out a couple months on chassis orders. So yeah, definitely order it first, get it there. The way we do this is in-house. We actually have a weld table, a big old table here that we weld the car to and then cut the factory floor out of, and then put the new one in, so we know the body's not moving at all. So I'm not going to pretend that this is an easy thing to do. However, with that being said, with a proper builder and fabricator, our builder put this whole system in under 40 hours. And then a lot of people say, oh, hey, I replaced my car, or I built my car 20 years ago, whatever. One thing I want to say is, again, this is factory paint.
Right.
So if you painted your car 20 years ago, you can put this whole thing in. You can see that we haven't touched the paint.
Right.
So that's not an excuse anymore.
That's actually one of the things that keeps me from doing things like that, especially if you have a really nice paint job, because a lot of people, admittedly, they will spend more money on paint than they will on performance parts, right?
What's funny, there's basically a couple things that people think of when it comes to building a car. I want nice paint and I want a lot of horsepower. Well, let me tell you what, buddy, if you don't have proper suspension and proper brakes, the horsepower is not doing you a dang bit of good except for making you wrap it around a tree.
Absolutely. Mustangs are really good at that, by the way.
No comment. Speaking of Mustang, we actually have this whole setup for the first gen Mustangs as well, giving them the first true dropout subframe that's never been available for the 64.5 to 70 Mustang.
Excellent.
So we have this for Mustang as well as B-body Mopar 68 to 70.
So no more excuses for wrapping them around a tree.
No more excuses, just give me a call.
Exactly. Well, Cameron, thank you so much. Again, this was SEMA 2025 SpeedTech QA1 booth here. Thank you so much for your time, Cameron. It's always good to see you.
Absolutely, my friend. We'll see you next year.